In the United States, the death penalty is sometimes given to people who are guilty of committing very serious crimes. This crime could include first-degree murder and treason, or betraying one country. Capital punishment was brought to America by early settlers from Europe. In early America, people who were found guilty of murder and rape were routinely executed, either by hanging or by a firing squad. Convicted burglar, thieves, and even counterfeiters often received the death penalty. This was thought to be a deterrent to other criminals. People began to feel that criminals were not evil. Instead, they were victims of poverty, poor education, and lack of opportunity. Society should help criminals rather than kill them, they thought. Another reason for the change in thinking was economic. Prices were very expensive. Early Americans that could not afford to keep many people in prison. Rather than keep them in prison, convicted criminals were executed. But as society became richer during the Industrial Revolution, pricing became more affordable for society. Because of this and other reasons, keeping criminals in prison rather than executing them became a viable option. By the mid-1800s, many states banned the death penalty except in the case of convicted murderers, but those states were mostly the northern states. The southern states kept the death penalty for many crimes. That trend continued in modern America. Even today, most executions happen in the South states. The southern states are considered more conservative than northern states. In the southern states today, death by injection is the standard form of execution. It is considered the most humane form of the death penalty. In the last few years in America, the debate over the death penalty has grown more widespread. A recent argument against the death penalty is that some of the people who are found guilty and sentenced to die are not actually guilty. New methods of verifying evidence, such as DNA testing, have freed many death row inmates because in many cases, criminals cannot be proven 100% guilty. Is it not right to sentence them to death? Opponents say that is just in that they may be innocent. In fact, the governor of Illinois recently held all executions in his state. In Illinois, some death row inmates were so later to be innocent of the crime for which they were imprisoned. After that, the governor was afraid that some people being executed were wrongly convicted. Another argument against the death penalty is high cost of executing a prisoner. Someone sentenced to die has the right to appeal the sentence several times. The state has to defend in case it's time before the higher court. One study found that it costs more than $1 million in regular costs for prisoners to exhaust all appeals against the death penalty. Despite the often hated national debate, the majority of Americans are still in favor of the death penalty. According to a recent study, approximately 65% of Americans still believe that the death penalty is appropriate for crimes such as first-degree murder. In case of mass murder, the percentage in favor of capital punishment is even higher. More than 80% of Americans want the death penalty given to Timothy McVeigh, the man who killed hundreds of the Oklahoma City bombing.